Here we go, mate. Talk to me. How's good old Sunshine Coast treating you, Mr. Erdi?
It's actually pretty sunny at the moment. It's
Yeah.
there were a couple of days when we got here and it was just like smashing it down with rain. And we're like, this ain't very Sunshine Coast. But actually it's not that bad. It's super sunny, pretty warm. Not as many animals and creatures as there were up in Cairns, northern Queensland.
Yeah, it's 100%, mate. I'm glad the car got you there. For people who don't know, Mr. Erdi had some troubles with his car, and slowed down his first few weeks when he landed here in Australia. But glad you made it safe and sound, mate.
Yeah, that was a bit of stress actually. Didn't realize how much admin work there is, or how slow it is to get the admin work done for just to get your car ready to drive on the road when you're living in a small town close to Port Douglas. But all of the road safety worthy mechanics were all booked up and for weeks. And then I managed to finally find one who I had to pay a lot of extra money to drive over to me from a town far away so that he could check the car. Luckily, it was ready to go. Got the certificate and then went to get the registration plates. Almost ran into an incident there where they don't take bank statements anymore as your proof of address. They now want like lease agreements. I was like, look, I don't have a lease agreement, but I have a 1-month Airbnb invoice. So could you please take that? And she didn't want to, but she did, luckily. Got my rego plates.
Yeah, that makes it tricky. That makes it tricky for someone in your shoes.
Yeah, definitely makes it tricky. And then I get my rego plates. I'm like, all right, cool. Did I have screws? She's like, nope, don't have screws. You have to go get some. It's like, all right. So I look on Google which screws, because I don't know about the numbers. Look on Google which screws for Queensland plates. Cool, we need these ones. So I go and get those ones. Come back, try and put them on the car. Not only did I get the wrong screws, but because the car was made in Victoria, the registration plate holder was different to the Queensland plate holder. So the actual Queensland plates don't fit onto my car. So I had to like make my own holes in the plates to put onto the thing while we were like halfway to where was it? Townsville, I think. Yeah, we stopped in Cairns and did that. So Sarah had to drive because I was in the rental car and Sarah was in our Ford. And she was driving without plates for like a good hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky there, mate. Wouldn't want to be pulled over by the Aussie cops.
Yeah, I know. Well, apparently you've got 24 hours from purchasing your plates to put them on the car.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that's all done. Now it's the fun of looking for a rental in Sunshine Coast. So you're looking for a rental, but while competing with like 100 to 200 other people.
Yeah.
Most of them are locals. We're foreigners on a holiday working visa, and it's making it a lot harder to buy to rent a house. So I'm having to use other tricks and be like, hey, look, I tell you what, I'll give you 6 to 12 months of rent up front if you can give us this house. Because that's the only sort of like, let's say, winning advantage that I've got.
There's a big problem in Australia at the moment. It's in the news and stuff too, that people are offering above the renting price. It's actually illegal. They're not allowed to do that, but obviously agents are taking it. So if it's advertised at 500, someone might offer 600. And then you've just got no chance because the real estate agent's just going to take the one that's more money. So, it's cutthroat. The rental market at the moment is just stupid, mate. So
it feels very cutthroat. It feels very competitive trying to get a house, especially around here. Like we're in Coolin Beach at the moment. And people are applying for the houses before even viewing them. Whereas like I don't want to do that. I want to view the house first. I think it's quite tough. But every day we've got like 2 or 3 viewings. Got another 3 tonight. So hopefully we find something and secure it.
Oh well, fingers crossed. Yeah, nice one, mate. I see you've got yourself a gym membership.
That's right. Got my gym membership. Started going to the gym. So I got my rings hanging up here as well, just for like, a bit of a morning stretch. Don't even if you can see them. Yeah, bit of a morning stretch, morning hang. Nice. Gym membership. It's quite nice. It's like 4 or 5 minutes walk from the house, so I can just get up, go gym, get some curls in. Do
curls before breakfast. Good to see.
Yeah, curls before breakfast. Might maybe do a bit of GST. Something gymnasticsy if it's in me. It's good. It's a good little community. I really like it here. It's very very small town, like coastal vibes. Everyone's very friendly. Like you walk into the gym and instantly like a PT came over and was like, "Oh, you do gymnastics stuff? I do gymnastics as well. Like, maybe I know you, or maybe I've seen your coach." It's quite funny. I was like, "Oh, I don't know if you know me. I'm Learning to Human on Instagram," and then find out like we actually spoke like 2 or 3 years ago, like while I was in the UK, like during the pandemic.
Wow.
It's really weird. But it's like, oh, small world.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, we better get stuck in and talk about today's topic, but it's been a while. You and I have both been pretty hectic moving and traveling and preparing. You coming to Australia, me moving out of a house swap, living on the road for a couple of months, and then us catching up in Queensland, and then now I'm back in the rental. So
because you're in a new rental, right?
Yeah, new rental. So we're up in here for a couple of weeks now. So the gym got set up, but the garage here was an absolute mess. There was like dust as thick as that sort of thing everywhere. So a couple of centimeters thick.
Are you in your gym at the moment?
Yeah, in the gym at the moment. So
nice.
Squat rack is there, and the desk get up, benches there. Got the rings hanging up there.
Yeah,
at the moment.
It's good height.
Quite cool. So it's not a bad little setup, mate. To be honest, so
that's a great setup.
And the sauna's next door, but it's all coming together slowly but surely. But we've only got a 6-month lease here, and we're not sure what the landlord's going to do, but we'll see how we go.
Never know.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate.
All right.
But I think today's topic's a good one. So we've had a request from a guy called Nich asking us to talk a little bit about training on holiday, or what we do, maybe when we train on holiday, maybe what we recommend to our clients, all that sort of stuff. And I think after the last few months of us traveling and being all over the shop, mate, we can share some stories about how we managed to stay in shape, because rounds of shape, isn't it?
Rounds of shape. That's exactly right, StreTch.
Yeah.
So, I'm in shape all year round.
Yeah, exactly.
Just different shapes.
Different shapes. Yeah, that's it, mate. So maybe we'll start with like mate, what's the weirdest holiday you think you've been on where you've managed to keep up training?
The weirdest holiday.
Yeah. Or like maybe a time when people think you're crazy trying to train while you're on holiday doing that. But like, what's a training story you could share, mate, about being on holiday and training?
I think it was probably. I mean, there's been a few. Like we've been all over the place now, but there's definitely been some way like dodgy hotel rooms where you've got like very little space and you're trying to do handstands. And you can just about fit in between the space between like the bed and the closet in like one of those travel lodge or like weird hotel rooms, but you do it anyway just to get your reps in. There's been quite a few of those. I'm just trying to think if there's anywhere weird that I've had to like hang up my rings or like get told off for. No, nothing. Yeah, nothing. Actually, the only places I've been told off for like hanging up rings were in the UK, which is quite ironic. But like everywhere else I've traveled, like I went to Barbados. I remember just finding literally not a palm tree, but like some kind of tropical tree by some busy road, and just being like, oh, this will do. Just hanging my rings up off there, or like all these cars and whatever are going by. Like, well, I need to do my back rolls and I need to do my hollow back eccentrics. That's actually when we were training together at Move Hackneys, and I was into all like the hollow back eccentrics. So I'm just like on the side of the road in Barbados. I remember I was on this holiday with my dad, and it was quite stressful. Like I get on well with my dad, but if we're in close proximity for too long, some fires can start. So I was like, no, I need to get out. So just go out. Yeah, need some space, need some rings, gymnastic rings. Set up the rings on this tree and just like, tiny red shorts and just like rolling around on the rings. And I don't even know where it was in this town, but that's probably
it's funny that you mentioned getting in trouble in the UK hanging up rings, because I think the only time I've ever been in trouble hanging up rings has been in Australia. I was back here one time for a holiday, and I was training with a coach that used to work for me in Melbourne, and we hung the rings in a park in Melbourne, and we were training. And this park inspector, she was giving someone a ticket for having their dog off a lead, and I'm like, oh, I bet she'll come here next. And fair enough, she came over and she was like, you can't hang your rings. This is health and safety, and blah 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 blah. Yeah. She wanted my details so that she could send me a fine. But I was just like, look, it's the first I know about it. I'm just traveling. I just take the rings down. It's fine. No one got hurt. She's like, I need your details. I'm like, I'm not going to give you my details. So I knew that she'd send me a fine.
Maybe she just wanted a PT session, mate.
Yeah, maybe, mate. Yeah. So, and then she was like, oh, I'm going to call the police. I'm like, okay, you do that, because by the time they get here, I'm going to be gone.
That's the thing. They're so quick to want to like hand out fines in Australia.
Mate.
I have found that here, like especially places like Melbourne and Sydney, they're very strict and they're very you do something like marginally wrong and you get
red tape, mate. Red tape politics, and they want you to pay like all these fees to be able to do PT and to be able to do stuff. It's just welcome to Australia. So.
It's funny they say about health and safety when it's like, well, this is me being health and looking out for my safety. This is exactly why I'm doing this, because I want to be healthy and safe.
That's it.
The irony is really funny.
One other place that comes to mind when I was hanging my rings is when I left the UK after selling the gym there, and I was traveling back to Australia. I spent like a good 6 weeks traveling through Asia, and as part of that, I went down to Sipadan, which is like one of the best scuba diving spots in the world. Like it's really rated in the top 10. Wow. So I was on like a week for a week there. I was doing like just there for the scuba diving and stuff. And you're on a small island, and it's got bungalows on the island, and then it's got those bungalows that you see that they build out over the water. So you've got these ramps that go out, and you stay in the bungalows. So I was in the bungalows over the water, and then there was a big sort of ramp that went out to just like, I don't know, it was like a chill out sort of area. There was plenty of space. It had a cover to protect you from the sun, a little sort of hut, but no walls. But it had these massive wooden beams in there, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I can hang up the rings here, and I can train, on this awesome space, all wooden floors. So I was doing my workouts, and like most of the time I do my workouts in the evening. So I've been diving all day, and I come back and I go and do a workout and then go for dinner and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, I'm out there one night, a little bit later than normal, doing all my stuff and just getting ready to pack up. Anyway, these soldiers are coming out, or these police officers are coming out, and they've got bulletproof vests on. They've got their machine guns, like they're fully loaded. They've got hard hats on and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? So anyway, they come out, and I'm just doing my rig stuff, and I was just having a chat to them because I was like, this feels really uncomfortable. And they were like, oh, we have a lot of trouble with pirates out here. So they have the pirates that come, and they actually rob the people staying at like these bungalows and all this sort of stuff. And they haven't had any attacks in the last few years, but it used to be a really bad thing. So all of these hotels and stuff, or all of these resorts that you stay at, they've all got their own police guard that are there. So at night time, these guards stand guard on these places with their machine guns and stuff. Yeah. And there was actually on the other side of the island, when I went for a walk another day, there was actually like a big police boat, and it was all fully armored, and it had like a gun on top of this police boat and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, wow, this is pretty nuts, isn't it?
That is a really like bizarre training environment. Yeah, I've seen all the the pirate videos on Instagram of pirates kind of going around trying to steal people's produce and boats and whatever, but I don't think I've ever met anyone that's been in that sort of proximity. That's quite crazy. You should have been like, hey, I know you're wearing a bulletproof vest, but do you want to see how to get real bulletproof shoulders? And then just show them a few German hangs, mate. They were like, yeah, I need some of that. That'll protect me from the bullets from the pirates.
That's it, mate. That's it. I think one of the hardest core things I've done in terms of holidays and training was when I first moved to London. I was back. That was back in the day when I took up running and triathlon. So I'd been accepted to go into the London Marathon at the time, and but at the same time I had a 2-week holiday booked on a yacht. So I was traveling with mates, and we'd gone to Croatia for 2 weeks, and I was living on a yacht. But at the same time, I should be training for a marathon. So every time we were on land, I used to put my running shoes on and just go for a run, just so I could try and keep my fitness up while I was on this holiday. And I remember one of the islands that we stopped on, real small island, and it just had one road, and it went up and over the island and down the other side. And I think I must have ran up and over the hill about 5 or 6 times.
Nice,
because that was the only road on the island.
Just doing what you can to like keep your heart rate going.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you weren't really swimming or diving off that boat, or.
We weren't doing any diving. We were swimming every day, but it was just, mucking around. We were doing a little bit of snorkeling and stuff like that, but most of the time we did a few hikes and stuff, which was cool. But most of the time, to be honest, you're just chilling out on the yacht and you're sailing between different parts of Croatia. It was absolutely beautiful. And we had a cool skipper. He was a local guy. And once he got to know us, he really sort of opened up, and he'd bring ahead and he'd book restaurants, and he'd just organise everything, because we didn't really have too much of a plan. We just wanted to go and chill on a yacht and sail around Croatia. But it turned out to be one of the best holidays I reckon I've ever had.
No, that sounds great. I mean, I've only been on like a liveaboard properly once, and that was in Australia last year. But I was thinking, oh, maybe I can do some handstands on the boat. But like, there's no way. You're not doing handstands on a boat. It's not happening. But I was diving pretty hard every day. So I was shattered, and I couldn't even do any like push-ups. I didn't even try. I was like, there's no point. Like I'm only on this boat 5 days. I'm just going to enjoy the dive in.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need to like accept your losses when it comes to the training stuff, especially for the shorter trips. But if it's like two weeks on a yacht, yeah, I think I'd want to try and get something in. 100%.
Yeah. I think I'm the same with you, mate. Like if I'm going on a holiday where there's an activity involved, like when I've been on a liveaboard and I've been diving, you're diving like 3 times a day and you're just knackered. It's like eat, sleep, dive, dive. That's all you do. And I think you just sort of, you make that decision that like, okay, I'm just going to give myself this time with training. I'm not going to really stress about it too much and I'm going to enjoy that. It's the same if I go snowboarding. Like if I go snowboarding anywhere, well, I'm going to be snowboarding all day. So I don't really need to be trying to do a gymnastics workout. I might do some stretching, like after I've been on the snowboard all day or something like that. I might just hang out and do a little bit of stretching at the end of the day. But yeah, I think sometimes you just got to accept that, maybe training's not going to happen. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And that could be whether you're going on an active holiday like that, or even if you're just going on a holiday, maybe with family and friends or something like that. It's just like, you know what? It's not going to work for me right now. I'm just going to take this time, allow the body to relax and recover. And then, when I come back, I'll sort of come back fresh.
I think if you're in that situation where it's just very unrealistic for you to train, it's either because you have committed to like an active holiday where it's just fully intense anyway, like you said, snowboarding, skiing, diving, then you probably don't really need to do anything extra. And it's not going to last for very long either. Or I find like, I've got a couple of clients who like go on these very intense work trips, or it's like something quite busy. Like there's a girl I was speaking to this morning, and she's going to Brussels in a week for like a big conference that she's speaking at, and then she's going to be in Miami like about 2 weeks after that for another conference. And it's like, these are obviously like very important parts of your life, and I know training is as well, but it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to be able to train like while in these pretty busy periods. So what we'll do is we'll accept that, and then we'll just train a little bit harder leading up to it. So like for the few days before you leave, let's just get a few extra sets in, or try and increase the weight, or just make it a bit more intense. And that way, while you're there, you can kind of feel good that you've probably just hit some PBs, or you feel good that you've trained hard, and you can just focus on doing what you're doing. Or like you said, maybe there is like a family trip where you just want the time off, and you just want to be like, you know what, let me just focus on all these activities and this new stimulus, and I don't need to worry about getting my press the handstand, or continuously getting a bit longer in my handstand holds, or see if I can get an extra chin up rep in, or this or that.
Yeah, I think that's worthwhile. I think that's the first sort of decision you've got to make, is like, what sort of holiday is this? And am I really going to have the time to train? And if I am, okay, where am I going to fit that in? And if not, like maybe just accepting that. I think common mistake I used to see in the gym, like back when I owned the gym, is like people who go on holiday and then they just come to the gym and try to smash themselves. So normally if they were going, like, oh, I go to the gym, 2-3 days a week. I'm going on holiday in a few weeks, so I'm going to be here 5 days a week. And they just like, I've got to get in shape. And it's like, you're about 2 weeks away from your holiday and you're just going to smash yourself, and you're probably going to get sick. It's going to affect your immune system. And then your holiday's going to be terrible because you're just going to be sick. But sometimes I think that's what goes through people's heads. Or they go on holiday and then they come back and then the same sort of thing. I've just been off for a few weeks, and now I'm going to just smash myself in the gym, which is the worst possible idea ever. But
that doesn't work too well. So like that's trying to take super compensation a bit too far, where you just do it to like unsustainable amounts. But that like there is like the concept of super compensation does exist. So like, but not for so many sessions in a row. I know people like Charles Poliquin, I think even Christian Tibel used to recommend it, where they'd be like, all right, just smash yourself for a whole week and then take a week off. But I think if you can do that with good structure, good recovery, good optimization, then maybe you can get away with it. But realistically, for like you said, that example where I'm going on holiday in a few weeks, I better really hit my training hard. It's exactly what happens. They'll hit the training really hard for 3 weeks. They'll get on holiday and then they get sick. Like half of their holiday is spent just recovering from this like flu that they picked up off the plane, because they had no immune system, because they had full on stress levels and were in the sympathetic nervous system state for just way too long.
Yeah. Charles used to talk about it, like when I used to go to Charles Poliquin's courses, he used to talk about it, and he had this story about him training some like elite athletes, maybe team training like that. And he'd write a program for them, and it would be like a super compensation sort of thing. And it'd be hard training, like back to back, multiple days, hard work. And he'd give it to them. And then like 3 or 4 weeks later, he'd come back and he'd be like chatting to the athletes, like, oh, how you feeling? And like some of the athletes, oh, I'm great, I'm feeling awesome. Yeah, the training's been really good. And others would be like, I'm just so tired, everything hurts, I'm so broken. And he would go, okay, all the guys that are broken and hurt, I'm going to train you, and all the guys that are feeling great, that's it, you're out. Because he just knew you didn't do the program, like you weren't consistent. The idea was I was going to smash you, and you're going to be feeling terrible. And they're the athletes that are going to go places with what he wanted to do. But it just goes to show that I think if you're doing too much, even if you are at the elite level, it's just going to put you in a world of pain.
Yeah. Charles Poliquin was, a bit off topic here, but he was known for having some like testing modalities like that. I had one friend who went to his, he used to do those training camps, and he purposely, he didn't tell him, but he purposefully built this circuit to be impossible. So I think it was like finding your 5 or 6 RMs, but then like doing it for rounds. And my friend, like, I think he ended up almost crying in the corner, like being sick. And like there were some people that were just doing it. And at the end of the thing, Poliquin, I know it's off topic, but at the end of the thing, Poliquin was like, all right, the guys who didn't finish were the ones that actually passed. Yeah. Everyone else, like, you're not cut out for this. Like, you're not pushing yourself as recommended. You're not following the program. Yeah. You're on your own type thing. So Poliquin was known for that type of behavior.
Pretty cutthroat, mate. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I do think super compensation has its merit. Like I've done it before in the past where if you have, this is the thing, it works if you have an existing structure. If you have an existing program you're following, your reps, your sets, your weights, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go away for the weekend. I'm not going to be able to train, or I'm going to go away for 5 days. Not going to be able to train. So like on days, the last day and the second from last day before you go away, you just pump the numbers up more so than normal, just for 2 days. And then you'll go away, you'll come back, you'll repeat the sessions, and they will be stronger than like what they normally are. Something like that. Like this, like I've done that before with chin-ups and pull-ups, and it's worked. And I've done it with some other things, and I've recommended it to some clients as well, and it's worked pretty well. But it's got to be like a short burst. You can't smash yourself for 2-3 weeks because you need to get in shape for fucking the beach, Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's like if you're in that mindset, like you've messed up. Like the previous 12 months you haven't been training.
That's it. The 2 busiest times in owning the gym was usually end of January, start of February, because that's when people get their first paycheck for the new year. So then they've got money to spend on the gym, and the gym's just packed because everyone's got New Year's resolutions. And in the UK, it's just before summer, so it's like the gym gets really busy because everyone's like, oh, summer holidays are coming up, and away they go to town with their training, trying to get in shape, and it's just like, want to try and train all year round and just be in shape when it comes to your holidays and what's happening there. Yeah. So when you do go on holidays, Erdi, what's the kit, mate? Like when you are limited in what you get to pack, what are you going to take with you?
As everyone can guess by now, like gymnastic rings, priority number one. They fit in my rucksack. I just put them in. I think some rucksacks have got like that pocket where you put, I think it's for shoes, but for me it's for the gymnastic rings and the straps. So that's where they go. And then in the pocket above that, which I'm pretty sure is for underwear, I use it for resistance bands. So I normally take maximum 3 different types of bands, but more than likely sort of like 2 is enough. So I take like one of the really light bands for like shoulder warm-up stuff, and then one of the slightly heavier bands for some like honestly like tricep extensions and bicep curls for high reps. I just find they're great. And that's pretty much me. So like that's me, the minimalist approach. I've had guys who would take their little P-bars with them. I've had people take, I think I've even had some people like take ankle weights and stuff with them. Like when they've been in like, let's say they've been in like a heavy compression phase of their training where we're really working the pike compressions, straddle compressions. They're going away. I'm like, just take your ankle weights with you and do your compression work in the hotel room. Just get it in. It's extra couple kilos, but it does the job. But yeah, for me, rings and bands, it's always number one. How about yourself? I'm assuming similar.
Yeah, pretty similar. It all depends. Like, obviously, flight. With a flight, you're very limited in terms of what weight you can take. So, rings come with me. I had a set of P-bars that were quite long. They were more ones, but I just cut them. So I got the saw out and cut them and made them into shorter ones so they could fit into my luggage. So I've got those little P-bars. Yeah, bands definitely go with me. I might take like a little lacrosse ball or something just to do a bit of rolling and everything like that. But other than that, yeah, maybe a small yoga block or something, you know, that I could use for compression, or if I'm doing sort of some stretches where I need to put the knee maybe on a hard surface, like, sometimes that. But if I know I've got access to cushions or something else, then I probably wouldn't stress too much. But yeah, they're probably the main thing, like say bands, rings. Yeah, that's the main bit. My little boombox, got to have the tunes playing while we're doing a bit of training, so that'll probably definitely come with me.
Got to have that heavy metronome beat going.
Yeah, that metronome beat. It's tuned to my life, the soundtrack to my life, mate. So
we should make like a remixed metronome beat. So it's like so the metronome is clear, but there's like some electro shit going on in the background.
That needs to be the intro to our GST Junkies podcast, mate.
I reckon that would go down really well. I think a lot of people download that track.
Yeah, exactly. But then if I'm traveling and I'm in the car, so like, I spent 18 months living on the road in a caravan. And in the trip we just did now when we moved out of the house swap, I was with the car. We went and stayed at my in-laws in Adelaide. Then we went and stayed at my parents over in Victoria. And then we flew up to Queensland. But, if I've got the truck, I can put a lot more in that. So I've got a portable pull-up bar, flat pack. So it's just some galvanized steel tubing. And I've just got connectors that you can just undo and do up with an Allen key. So it's pretty quick and easy to assemble. So I'd set that up as a pull-up bar, and then I can obviously pack, I might pack a couple of sets of dumbbells, just smaller weights so that I can use in warm-ups and stuff like that. I can have my taller set of P-bars for doing deficit handstand push-ups and things like that.
You basically just got a gym. You just travel with the gym.
And it was part of the requirement. I'm going to live on the road for 18 months in a caravan. I'm not going to do that without a gym. I was even thinking, like, is there a way that I can mount a pull-up bar to the side of the caravan? Like, somehow, I'm like, oh, it's going to damage the caravan, might affect resale price, so maybe not. So it was like, all right, I'm going to make a freestanding pull-up bar. I've actually got a video, if you want to look at it, it's on YouTube about how I built my freestanding pull-up bar. And, I mean, geez, it was a few years ago now that we did that trip. And I've still got the pull-up bar now, and I just still find it quite handy. Like, it's awesome to be able to just go and train outdoors and set that up anywhere. And like I said, if I do travel and I'm in the car, well, I can just take the pull-up bar wherever. Because I think sometimes when you take the rings, you've got the best intentions, but sometimes trying to find a place to hang the rings, can be quite tricky sometimes. So it just sort of helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the answer, guys, to all your travel problems. Just travel with your private personal PT studio. Just a quick travel hack here for those of you that don't know. So you mentioned about the weight on the planes. If you take on carry-on luggage, don't take it in the form of a suitcase, because then they will measure the suitcase whether for weight or for size and see if it fits. And those little things that if you take instead a rucksack, they will never check you. I've never had my rucksack checked, while I've seen multiple people in front of me getting all of their suitcases checked for carry-on luggage, which means you don't need to stick to the weight recommendation for your carry-on luggage. So I've had 15 kilos in my rucksack before when you're only supposed to have 6 or 7. Gymnastic rings, cross ball, bands, ankle weights, books, electronic equipment. Like you could literally put dumbbells in your rucksack. They wouldn't have a clue. They'll just let you walk through. They won't ever check. So that's my travel hack recommendation for anyone that's wanting to travel with with equipment.
Yeah, that's it. I think sometimes in Australia they will check your rucksack, so just be careful. I think Jetstar are the one you got to be careful of. So.
Only in Australia. Yeah,
only in Australia, mate. So, but maybe you could just stick your ankle weights in your pockets.
Yeah, just wear them.
just wear them. Don't think you want to wear them through security. That might be an issue.
Like when you go through security, you just put them in your bag.
Vest, just wear that. That'll look good.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah.
Classic.
That would be fun. They'd love that.
Yeah.
The Australians are tough. Like they had when we landed in Cairns, there was a guy walking around with his dog, obviously checking for drugs. They did actually pull one guy away to the side, and to be fair, he did look like someone that smoked a lot of pot. But that aside, like the guy would just stand there, and then he would just like point to where he wanted the dog to go and check, and the dog would just go to the suitcase and sniff, and then go to the next one. And it was like, well, this is quite a cool like pet that this guy's trained, but at the same time, it's very intimidating and just like a standard tourist coming to this airport and landing. I mean, you've got nothing to hide. It's not like we're traveling with anything dodgy other than bulletproof vests and ankle weights. But Australia's really on it with their security. I imagine it's similar to the US.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not been to the US. I remember the first time I traveled, like when I first got to Europe, I think I was in Italy. Like the guards and stuff they had at the airport there were nuts. Like I'd never seen anything like it. But yeah, I think like they have machine guns and stuff over there. Where the Australian, I've not seen that too much in the Australian one. There are federal police that do carry some guns in the Australian airport, but it's quite interesting to sort of see. But yeah. So when you do go on holidays, like what's the structure of your training? Do you keep your training pretty much the same? Do you try to, or do you try to manipulate training so you've got more free time on your holiday? What's going on there?
So I mean, this will always depend on the type of holiday. Like, I've had clients where like they'll go on a bit of a work holiday, and I'll just expect them to stay as close to the structure as they can, because it's like. It's almost like being at home. They're just not in their own gym. Sometimes I'll have like a hotel gym. They can, do their normal training. I've had some clients that will be like, look, I want to stick to my training 100%. I'm doing 5 sessions a week at the moment. I still want to do 5 sessions a week. Can you just make some adjustments to my program? Because I'm not going to have a barbell. Cool. No stress. But like for myself, it'll always be very dependent. So I don't really take any like holidays anymore like I used to, actual like time off work and things. I would travel a lot, but I think it's very different to like our standard client who will struggle with training on holiday. Whereas for me, it's like I'll pick an Airbnb that has beams. I'll make sure I look at the gyms nearby so I know where I'm going to go to train nearby and go from there. But like, for example, when I was up with you in Cairns, that was a bit, I guess you could call that a bit of a holiday, because it wasn't like somewhere where I had like chosen for a gym nearby, or actually I didn't even have my gymnastic rings because I messed up my packing. That's another story. So I couldn't stick to my structure as much, and we had to like change it up a little bit. I'll try and the best thing I like recommend, or the thing I try and do, is like, okay, what are my primary goals? Like if I'm working on 5 different things, like just pick a couple of them. What's the absolute important ones? All right, what's the bare minimum I can get in for those? And then the rest of it is like, if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, I can't.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just about maintenance, isn't it? So it's like, okay, what's the bare minimum I can do to just maybe maintain where I'm currently at? Maybe I'm not going to make too much progress on the holiday, but if I can maintain it and not lose too much strength, then, when I come back to it after the holiday, I'm going to be in a good place to continue with that. So
yeah. Maintenance, I think, it's underrated for when you go on holiday. Like, you just don't need to do that much. If you're doing 4 sets of an exercise, just do 1, and next week you'll probably still be fine.
Yeah. I mean, even rest. Like some people, like fatigue masks fitness, it masks strength, it can even mask flexibility. Like we're just in a constant state of always training. Sometimes you just don't realize how much progress you are making, and you do take a bit of time off. And that first week back, you're just smashing it. Like, things just, so it feels so much easier. Your strength goes up, your balance goes up, everything just sort of improves. But,
I've seen that a few times.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've had that myself, sometimes working on like handstand push-ups, sometimes I'm just so fatigued, and you can really notice the difference, in my eccentrics or in what I'm working on right now. And then I take some time off, and like the first week back, it's just like, wow, I just feel so much stronger. Like,
Normally, if I notice that with someone that's training, it's either I'll recommend them to take more holidays because they obviously need it, or it'll be like, okay, time to give them a little bit of an easier program on the next phase and just see what happens. Because sometimes you'd be surprised, and actually they'll be smashing some PBs for a long time, because like you said, we've got into a state of like fatigue, which is masking their results, masking the fitness gains, and neither of us have realized, because they're pushing hard, they're still working, they're disciplined. It's not a motivation issue, but But yeah, you take a bit of time off, and then, like you said, everything just goes through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. Even back in the day when I was doing more sort of strength training, like more your typical sort of, barbell work, deadlift, squats, bench press, all that sort of stuff. Like, you go on consistent for, 12 weeks, let's say, you're working through multiple phases, whether they're 4 or 6 week phases, and you're just consistently grinding. And especially if you're doing heavy stuff like the central nervous system fatigue, it just really starts to build. And especially like just depending on life, like if life's busy, work is stressful, there's a lot going on, you can sort of get to that, I think, that phase sometimes where you do feel a bit stagnant. I'm not really making progress. The weights are sort of staying consistent. And there were times where I just like I'm just going to take a week off. Like just in this next phase, before I start this new phase, I just have a week where I'm just going to do, maybe a little bit of rowing, maybe a little bit of walking or cycling, or just going for a swim or just chilling. And then just giving your body that chance to recover, I think can sometimes be a wise move. And like you and I both know that, like, building strength or flexibility or skills and stuff like that, it's about consistency, but it's about consistency over the big picture. So you're looking at it like in years, not in days or not in weeks. So like to miss a day of training or to miss a week of training, in the big picture of things, it's really small. Like it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, okay, you might take a little bit of a hit, but as long as you can get back on the horse and you can get back into training, then I think, and it can be a good thing. It can be a beneficial thing to actually just take a freaking holiday.
Yeah, 100%. I think I think holidays are very underrated, especially for those that live in the city. If just going at it from like a health perspective, it can be good to just kind of get out of that congested, polluted city life and just go and just relax somewhere with, whether it's less EMFs, more grounding, more negative ions. It depends which kind of way you want to look at it, or just less stress in general. You can go down the whole biohacking kind of route and look at all the nuances of the science, or you can just see it as actually, you're going to go and de-stress somewhere and just relax a little bit and have less distractions and a completely different stimulus of nature and real life instead of screens and pollution. I think holidays are super underrated for just general like well-being and health, and we know that can reflect into training. So like, you can use them as a way to like help improve your training, or you can kind of go the other route. And like, I know some people get a bit stressed by it and they go on holiday like, oh, my training. It's like, just relax, chill a little bit, like do what you can, do the minimum, like do the maintenance, do the minimum, like try and get creative. Like when I was at your house not long ago and I couldn't find a way to do chin-ups or work my biceps, and I was like, well, what can I do? I was just like trying to think of all the possible ways I could just like pull instead of push, because you do push-ups, we do push-ups, handstand push-ups against the wall, whatever. I was like, how do I pull? So like I got underneath one of the chairs on your patio or whatever, what it was, the garden patio.
The deck,
the deck, and I managed to like figure out this weird like bicep curl movement where I just like really hit a really hard peak contraction in my biceps from underneath your decking chair, and I was like, yeah, this will work. So I just did that and a few band curls, but it was like something. It wasn't a pull up, it wasn't a proper row. I've seen people like hang towels on doors and do stuff like that. I've never been confident to do that because I don't want to break a door frame or break a door, but I feel like there's always something you can try and figure out. I've had clients go on holiday and telling them to do their muscle up transitions off of 2 chairs. So it's like, actually, it was during the COVID time when everyone was locked down, couldn't go to the gyms. I had to make a makeshift program for Move Hackney for the gym I was running. And I was like, oh shit, we're supposed to be doing muscle up transitions, but we can't. Let's do it off chairs. So it's like doing, what do you call them? Like the Russian dips. So it was almost like doing the Russian dips, but off of like your table chairs at home. Obviously, if you've got higher chairs like stools, then it works really well. The lower ones is a bit shitty, but you can still get that grind. You can still get that movement going, and the load in there. So, like you can be creative if you absolutely need to be, and you can make something happen. But also, if you need time off, just take time off.
No, exactly that. Yeah, you were talking before, like with your clients when they're going on holiday. Sometimes it's that manipulation of the program or slight changing of the program depending on what they've got access to. Like I've got clients that are pretty hardcore training, and they're like what you talked about. It's like they're going to book accommodation where there's a gym, or their accommodations is going to be close to a gym. They're going to do their research before they go away, making sure there's open gym, making sure they can buy a membership. Like they do all the planning around their training, and then their holidays around that. And I think they're quite structured. Like they go, okay, so I'm going to get up and I'm going to go and train, and then I'm going to have breakfast, and the rest of the day is mine to go and do whatever holiday activities they're going to do. And then I'll get other clients that, they're exactly like, I'm just going to be in the hotel room. Can you give me a few stretches and a few things to do in the hotel room? And I'm not going to have any equipment. So I'm like, okay, I'll do my best to do what we can, but we're not going to be able to keep the same intensity as what you've currently got. But I think like the structure definitely helps. Like if you're going to go away on holiday and you are planning to train, it's like setting aside that time to figure out where that training's going to fit in. Because I think otherwise it can just be, you can get overwhelming and you feel like, I'm not doing my training, and you just haven't planned it. And it can be difficult to manage that. I think especially when other people are involved and you've got so many commitments that you're trying to do. So, yeah.
Agreed. I think the traveling definitely brings out the personality differences in different clients. And you'll get some people like, I've got some clients that are just so what's the word? They're just really technical and smart and creative when it comes to finding ways of training. Like one guy, he's supposed to be doing mental chin-ups, and the way that he set it up on his recent holiday to France, I don't know how he got these pieces of rope, and he had this, like, I don't think he had his rings. I think he had pieces of rope, and he hung them up around this like banister, I guess, up on another level, and he was like holding onto one rope while he was like doing the chins with the other rope. And I was like, this is a really creative way of getting these mental chin-ups in, like without having your set of rings, etc. But he just made the effort. And then exactly like you said, you get some clients be like, yeah, I'm going away, what can I do? Okay, what we need some sort of like two-way communication here. Like we need a bit of effort on both ends. Like I will do my best to help you, but you also need to do your best to help yourself. But then sometimes like the trip is just so overwhelming because it's just going to be a very intense whatever trip that they're doing, that they don't have the mindset or like the mental resources available to even think about what to do or how to do. And that's okay. At the end of the day, they are paying us for our expertise and for us to do that for them. So if that's the case, like if I notice if it's a type of person who is quite easily affected by like stress and mental resources available, I will just make the session as simple as possible. I'll literally just pick 2 or 3 exercises max, and I'll just get them to do it for a high number of sets and reps, because now they don't need to think about, okay, changing the setup, changing the environment, getting a new piece of equipment, finding a cushion, finding this, that. So nope, you're just going to do German volume training, push-ups, 10 by 10. Like that's just do it, because you can do that in a hotel room. And then you're going to do 5 minutes accumulated in couch stretch, and 5 minutes accumulated in bent arm pec stretch or whatever. Stuff like this. It's just if you can keep your sessions, if you know you're someone that struggles with too much in your head, keep the session simple, but go for longer and go for more, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. I think, like you say, sometimes it's a good opportunity to sort of hone in on those specific goals, like you mentioned before. Like, sometimes we have that list of goals, and it's like, I want the muscle up, and I'm working on my dip strength, and I'm working on my handstand, and I'm working on my pancake flexibility. In the normal structure of your week, there's a lot going on in your program, and then holidays come, and it's like, well, okay, well, how about we just focus on your handstand? Like, while you're away, let's do some short handstand sessions. We'll throw a little bit of flexibility in between, your handstands, but just see this as a time where you can just focus in on that goal. You don't need any equipment for that. It's quite simple. You'll come back hopefully a bit better at your handstands, and maybe you'll lose a little bit of strength in your other stuff. But, if that's going to work for you on this holiday and you see that as something that's going to be more achievable, then don't beat yourself up about it. Let's just, hone in and sort of target that. I think sometimes that can be a good way to sort of go as well. Just take a step back from so many goals and just, isolate, like what you said before.
Yeah. So, I had that with press handstand when I went to Madeira. I remember it was like the UK was just about to go into another lockdown, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not staying here for another lockdown." I think they announced the lockdown on like a Monday. I think on Monday they announced it, and it was going to come on Thursday. So on Tuesday, it was either Monday or Tuesday, I booked flights for me and Sarah to go to Madeira on the Wednesday, so like the day before lockdown. So we had like 2 days notice, booked the flights. I remember her parents weren't too happy about that, but we made it work anyway. I booked the Airbnb. I was like, we're going here. It's got a set of beams. I'm going to hang my rings to do a bit of my strength work. And that trip, I remember I made really good progress in my handstand push-up and my press to handstand because they were like the only things I could actually, work on confidently. My handstand in general just improved a lot that trip because I was just getting outside every morning, before or after breakfast, after making those European espressos, coffees. I wasn't very good at them, but I did it anyway. And then, I was just smashing my tucks, smashing my eccentric press handstands, and then I like the press handstand just came really well. And I was doing I went from doing, I don't know, like 1 or 2 sporadic ones to doing like 10 in a session. And that was only a short trip. It was only 3 weeks. But yeah, that was a really good trip, I remember.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah. I set myself the goal of learning to juggle one time. So when I did that same trip where I left the UK and was traveling back to Australia, I bought a set of juggling balls, and I'm like, what? In my free time, I'm just going to be practicing juggling, like at the airport. Just at the start of each training session, I'd spend 10 minutes just doing a little bit of juggling. And in that trip, I taught myself how to juggle 3 balls and juggle 3 balls overhead and do a little bit of a pattern and routine. And yeah, it was awesome. Like just having something different, like a new skill or something to play with. So I think sometimes we can look at that as well, like just sort of stepping out. And I've got clients that, do the same. They might just go, I'm going on holidays. There's a CrossFit gym. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to do some CrossFit classes. Or, I think like you did, and like maybe I did as well, is when we traveled, sometimes we might search out people that we can train with. It's like, okay, who's going to be around these parts of the world? Is there someone like I follow or someone I can hook up with? And, we can do a bit of a training session. It's off plan, but at the same time, it's awesome just to hang out with, like-minded people and, maybe learn something from them, maybe share some of the skills and stuff you're learning, and sort of just play. I think sometimes it's nice just to do something different like that.
You really surprised me with the juggling the other day. I was like, I didn't know StreTch could juggle. And he just started throwing his balls up, and I was like, damn, that's pretty impressive. So that just came out of just an extra sort of focus, actually a little goal you just set yourself by the way.
Yeah, it was funny because actually as a farewell gift, one of the members at the gym bought me a juggling session. So I just went along to this circus school or whatever, and they were sort of giving us the basics of how to juggle. And I couldn't juggle. I'd never learned to juggle. I think in that session, I might have got, 6 or 7 throws in. I was like, I want to be able to do 100. Like, that's just the goal I've got to aim for. And that was just before I left. So I was like, all right, I'll just buy some juggle balls and just go for it. So, I managed to do that. And I'd love to learn how to do 4 or 5, but I've just not got back to it at the moment. So, in the long run, maybe it's like investing in that. And it was funny because my mum's like, oh, you can juggle. And then one year she bought me these battens. So, they juggle battens. Battens are just like exponentially harder. There's no chance I could juggle battens. But it was a nice gesture, Mum. Thanks.
Thanks, Mum. Make me look really bad now. I used to be able to juggle, not anymore.
It's a whole new respect for the guys that can do it. Like when you see a guy juggling fire, like battens and fire, you're like, yeah, that's taking a lot of work. I respect that dude that he can actually do that.
It needs a little bit more practice and just spending 5 minutes here and there in your bedroom with a couple of balls.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I mean, when you did your trip last, I think when you traveled to Australia, you caught up with a lot of different people and trained with a lot of different people. How did you go about that? Like, did you just reach out and contact them, or what were you doing to set those sessions up?
Yeah, because one of them I had met previously at a retreat in Turkey, I think 5 years ago. 6 years ago now. Wow, it's really been 6 years. Okay. And then the other ones I just knew off Instagram. So I just reached out to him like, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Let me know when you're free. Let's just train. I find that our training is so solitary that people will go out of their way to meet up with somebody that trains similar to them, or does similar tricks or similar things. out of the blue every now and then. Like they might not want to train. I think we enjoy having our solitary training, and like not being reliant upon waiting for somebody else to turn up and to follow in the same program as someone else or anything like this. But we also crave that, like, connection with other people that are as weird as we are and want to do different things that we do. So when you just reach out to them, they're more than happy to, more than happy to train or meet up, and they'll invite you to their gym. I don't think I paid for a single gym pass for any of those movement gyms that I went to in Perth last year, because everyone was just so happy to meet someone new from across the globe who just wants to come and see their venue, see their gym, or train together, etc.
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? I think there is that good sort of community around. Like, say, if you do reach out to people, I think a lot of people are open to the idea of doing a session. It's funny, isn't it? Like, gymnastics, strength training, or this flexibility stuff, I think a lot of times it is quite solo. I know there are gyms that are set up around this sort of stuff, and people do group sort of training around this sort of stuff, but I think there's just so much difference in level of ability, and maybe there's so many different goals that we can be working on that it's really hard to find maybe someone that's at the same level as you or working towards the same goals as you. To follow the same program, or to meet someone that's going to do the same program with you is pretty unlikely. But like you say, you and I used to train together. We used to hang out in the gym, and you'd be doing your program, I'd be doing my program, and there'd be some similarities between it. But at the same time, it was just good to be around someone else when you were training, or just have someone else that you can chat to or spot, or somehow help you out with your training, or just to have that camaraderie, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely makes a difference and makes you feel a little bit less lonely in what is quite a lonely sort of activity and sport. Yeah, I like it. It is quite easy to, I find, just connect with someone who's doing this type of training and just jump on with them. And then it also makes for good content as well. Most people that we know, I mean, maybe the reason that we know them is because they're also the same type of people that post on Instagram. But generally speaking, if it's somebody that's posting about their training on Instagram, they're more than happy to sort of train with somebody else. Just adds a little bit of difference into their posts and into their content.
Yeah. Is there people around you now, mate, where you are?
No, not really. There's a couple, but not that are doing like as much into the, let's say, like the GST side of things as we are.
Yeah.
I heard that there are some hand balancers in the area, but I haven't met any of them yet. Apparently some of them do come to this gym that I'm training at now. I've only been there just for about a week now. I haven't met any other than one of the local PTs. I trained with him the other day, which was quite cool. And he's also into similar types of training, but he hasn't been pursuing it quite as hard recently. So he was happy to just do like a whatever session I was doing. He's like, I'll just jump on with you. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do some bicep curls. If you want to do some curls, he's like, yeah, I want to do some curls.
Who doesn't want to do curls, mate? That's how you make friends.
That's how I make friends. Just people that love curls. So we did some curls and some rows. But I haven't met anyone yet. There's a couple people that used to be in Circus. There is a movement gym about 20 to 30 minutes away, but I haven't been there yet, and it's been on my list. We've just got super busy. We're looking for these rentals. It's just like eating up all of my free time at the moment.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah, once the time opens up, I'm sure you'll be able to get down there and meet those sort of people. Yeah. I'm a bit similar over here. Like, I'm in a pretty remote part of South Australia, and there's really not many people around here none really, that do any of the stuff that I do. There's one gym in town, and it's one of those sort of like 24/7. You just let yourself in and train.
Is it Snap Fitness?
I don't know. It's just personally owned or privately owned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the school kids are in there. They've all got the PIN code to get themselves in. I don't think any of them have got any membership. Every time I drive past during the day, there's no one there. So I think it's obviously just early morning and late evening. So there's the community thing. Yeah, can be quite difficult, but I think that's just part of it sometimes, isn't it? And that's why we end up training solo and doing what we do. Like, I'd love to be able to train with people, but sometimes it just doesn't doesn't sort of turn out that way, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I'm planning a trip later in the year, mate. I'm definitely going to come over to your side of Oz, and we'll definitely catch up and do some training. So you better start working on that straddle and stall to press, mate.
Exactly. Yeah, I see you're making some good gains there. Well, hopefully I have a house I can invite you to. Otherwise,
that'd be nice, mate.
let me get that sorted first, and then shoulder press and handstand push-ups are next on my list.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, my handstand push-ups coming too. I can actually do some concentrics now. So that's
Oh,
today's
nice.
training.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, hopefully. I lost mine recently, so I'm gonna try and get mine back because with all the traveling around and the lack of training over the winter period hit me pretty hard. But surprisingly, just coming to Oz, I mean, being here for what, it hasn't even been 4 weeks. I got here on the 26th of January. It's now 21st of February. I feel like I'm already a lot leaner. Getting a bit of sunshine's helping, and my body's like starting to feel more conditioned again. So things are on the up. Just need to keep going.
Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. Just keep tapping away at it, and you'll be right. And like you say, you're in a much better climate now. I think that's a big part too, isn't it? When you travel, like depending on the climate, it's more inviting to get outdoors in Australia and train in a nice warm environment than it is in UK, middle of winter. It's freezing cold. It's
I think people underrate just how much climate makes a difference. Like I've had some clients go away from a city to a bit more of a tropical destination. And if they're there for like a couple of weeks, like in that second week, they start seeing things that they haven't seen before. Like I've got a girl at the moment, she's now squatting 80 kilos for reps. But she wasn't doing that before she left for her trip to the Dominican Republic. And now she's there. She's like, I'm feeling really strong. And I'm like, yep. What do you think this tells you?
So many factors, though, isn't it? It's like they're probably sleeping
better,
better, stress is probably lower, maybe they're eating better because someone else is preparing their food, or they're not just grabbing some chips and a sandwich from a shop, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many things we can sort of take away from that, and it's a good realization. If you go on holiday and your numbers are just going up, it's like, well, what am I doing in my normal everyday life that's not really helping me here?
Yeah. I think that's exactly what it is. It's like, okay, it gives you an opportunity now to analyze a little bit and be like, what's going on? Is it climate? Like you said, is it less stress? Chances are it's just an accumulation of loads of things. Like you said, less stress is usually the biggest one. Like if you don't have your boss on your mind every day, it gives you space for other things, like thinking about your handstands and putting more plates on the bar. But definitely agreed with you there.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes like if you're up for it too, like it's like when you do go on holidays, if you have got the time, like if you're visiting family and stuff like that, and maybe it's not such an adventurous holiday where you're getting out and doing so many activities, it's like I've got a little bit of time to train. Like you can handle more volume, you can handle more intensity because maybe the stress levels of other factors in your life have actually gone down. So I think there's that two ends of the spectrum, isn't it? You can go on holiday and you can just do less or do nothing at all and allow that recovery. Or sometimes if you, depending on the holiday you're going on, you can actually go, you know what, I want to up the intensity or up the volume because I'm just going to have more time on my hands, and I'm also just going to have better time to recovery, better sleep, better food, better environment, like all these factors that are going to help me get stronger, get leaner, just get better results from training, I think. So
exactly. Yeah. I think that I think you're right. Like every holiday isn't the same, and every trip from wherever you're going to is just not the same as someone else's or one that you've done in the past. So you may need to approach them differently. It's like if you're lucky and it's something where you can increase the training because you're just going to have a lot more time on your hands and a lot more whatever, then great, do it. Like, do some extra training, throw some extra sessions in. Your recovery is going to be better. Your sleep will be better. Get it done. If it's not, you might need to minimize your goals, drop down to a couple of focuses, drop down the overall variety of exercises and just focus on one or two things like that. But you will need to try and have a rough gauge on that before you go. Like sometimes I've had like quite over ambitious clients, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going on holiday and I'm going to have all this free time. I'm like, oh, okay, who are you going with? Like, oh yeah, we're going with my family and got some kids. I'm like, okay. And where are you going? They're like, somewhere someone that has lots of attractions and things in the area. I'm like, you might want to try and make sure you get up before everyone else. do your session first, and then enjoy the rest of your day. Because like as soon as your kids start pulling you in directions, which you're not going to say no to, like there's no way you're going to deny your kid, a trip to the zoo in the area because you need to train. It's not going to happen. So like wake up early, get your session in, and then I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah. I love that because I've definitely got clients who've got the best intentions. Like, I'm going to one holiday here. Can you write me a program? And you go to all this work to set them up a program with like no equipment, or with, I'm only going to have rings or bands or whatever. So you write out this whole program, and then they go on holiday and you just don't hear from them. And then when they get back, I didn't manage to do anything actually. You're like,
did nothing.
All that bloody work. Didn't do anything. God damn it.
That's it. You spend and the thing is, like, you have to spend a lot more time writing that program because it's out of the norm. It's it's something completely different. You have to start it from scratch, and you have to think of all the equipment they may or may not have. So it's a lot of work on your half. So sometimes I think with new clients it's quite tough. When it's an older client that you had for a while, then you understand them a bit better, and you're like, okay, I think I know what you need. Then just don't write them anything.
That's what ends up happening, isn't it? Yeah. One thing maybe we haven't covered is like mid-phase. I think a lot of times clients will go away. They could be like, let's say they're doing 6-week phase. I think you're 6 weeks with most of your clients. I'm 6 weeks with most of my clients. And then they go away in like week 3 or week 4 in that phase, and they're not going to continue what they're doing, because of equipment or because of, what's happening. What's your typical approach to that? Do they come back and just go straight into week 4? How do you sort of structure that?
Yeah, if it's a short trip, I say just come back, go straight into week 4. Let's say for like 5 to 7 days. If it's a longer trip and they haven't been training, then what I'll do is I won't write them a 6-week phase before they go. I'll say you're going to do this for the next 2-3 weeks. When you come back, we're going to have to do something different. Because if I know that they haven't been able to train well, then I know that they're going to have to come on to like a refresher almost. Because if they don't, if they try and jump back into the program, which was quite a heavy program, they're going to feel like shit. They're not going to be able to get their lifts. The body just isn't going to be running in the same way. The nervous system isn't going to be as primed in the same way. So it's like, you know what, for 2 weeks, or even for less, like, here's the thing, the longer the trip, the longer the refresher period. But like, if you're out for 2 weeks, you might only need like 3 to 5 days to get back into the swing of things. But those 3 to 5 days have to be, in my opinion, I always program them to be like less intense than normal. So it's like higher rep stuff, more blood flow, more pump, let's say, more simple tasks, nothing too complex. Just get the movements in, get out. That's my go-to normally. Yeah. If they're able to train in the 2 weeks, then I won't really change anything. It's like you're going away mid-phase, do what you can. When you come back, continue properly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's phase and client sort of dependent. I agree with you there. It depends on how long they've been training with you, and also just knowing their ability. I think some clients can just go straight back in. Like if they're going away after week 3, they're going to do something while they're away, then they can come back and just go straight into week 4. And like you say, other clients, I think, they just need a bit of a gradual reintroduction to the program. I always think volume, like if the volume is the big thing. I think if they're going back in, like, if you're doing 5 sets and 4 sets and, multiple sets of a certain thing, it might be okay. Now's the time where you come back and maybe we do sort of 60%. Like we just drop the sets. We keep the same, volume of reps up there and we keep the same number of exercises. But just in that first week, let's just bring down the total number of sets a little bit. Because chances are you're going to have DOMs. Like you're going to be sore when you come back to, that program if you've taken time off it. It's like whenever you change a new phase, when you go from doing a 6-week phase, that first week of the new phase is usually the time where you're the sorest. But I find if you just drop the volume back a little bit, the DOMs aren't as bad and the body just gets reintroduced to the program. And then usually by week 2 coming back, it can be okay. Now we can just step the volume back up and the sets back up to where it was. So yeah, I might even say, okay, let's repeat week 3 at 50%, 60%, and then let's go week 4, 5, and 6. Depending again on the holiday and the individual. But I think it's something just to put in the back of your mind if you are going to take a break from training, like not coming back to the same intensity and volume as before you go away. Again, it can be like we talked about that overcompensation sort of thing. If you're working out and you're working at a certain number of days per week and you're training at a certain intensity and certain volume and you're doing that over a long period of time, the body does adapt. It does get used to that and it can handle it. And then you take time off, the body's going to adapt and it's going to downregulate sort of thing sometimes. And if you sometimes come back to the same level of volume and intensity, it can be like that overcompensation where you're just doing too much because you've gone from nothing to something and then you end up sick. Your immune system, gets a hit, and maybe it puts you back even further in your training. So it's like, okay, just gradually work your way back into it, and then you're going to go along and probably not kick your immune system as hard, and not fatigue yourself as much, and probably be able to keep up or return to that intensity and volume pretty quickly. And again, like you say, that's pretty individual. Depends on who you are and what's going on in your life with stress and all the other factors as well.
Yeah. I think general rule of thumb is like, anywhere between like 1 and 5 days, like you're okay. You can probably just resume. If it starts like creeping up to like a week to like 1.5 weeks, like you're probably gonna need a few days to like just feel a bit better before you kind of come back into your normal training. If it starts getting on to like 2 weeks, just a little bit beyond 2 weeks, then it's okay. You're probably gonna need like a 1 to 2 week like deload period, like you said. Less sets, maybe less reps, or maybe less weight, more reps. It kind of depends who you are, what you're working on, but definitely something less.
That's it, mate. I think we've covered a lot, mate. Equipment, bit of our own training, stuff we do with our clients. Just about volume, setup, all that sort of stuff. So, is there anything else you wanted to throw out there, man, in terms of holidays and training? Or
like I think the biggest. I think we both touched on it, but we didn't make it like very clear. Is if you can try and get it done before everything else, and it would just be so much easier. It's just sometimes when you're away, like things just crop up, or like it gets to like midday and someone's like, oh, you want to go for drinks tonight, or you want to go here tonight, and you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to train tonight, but I'd rather do this, and you would rather do the other thing. So but if you just get the training done quick and early, like before you start your day, you'll be fine. Like you can get a lot more done, because it's just there's nothing spontaneous can ruin that, basically.
I think so too. It's like having that structure, and I think, like you say, morning's the best time to get that sort of stuff in. Just get up, get it done, and it's easy. Like if you are training with or traveling with family or friends, and like, oh, tomorrow we want to do this, and you're like, yes, sweet, cool. I'm just going to get up and I'm going to train from 8 till 9 or 8 till 10 or whatever it is that you're going to do in terms of your training, and then the rest of the day I'm cool, I'm free. We can just do whatever. I think it's good, to sort of have that structure, because, like you say, you start doing activities or you start heading out with people and things just overrun. Like, you just you're out on trip, you miss the bus, the train, whatever, or just the tour or lunch. Things just eat up your time, and then it's all of a sudden the end of the day and you're just too tired or you're too knackered to even think about, kicking up the handstand or doing some squats or whatever. It's just like, the biggest thing, I think, structure.
You get lost in a forest in the Tenerife. I remember that happened once. It's another story. But it's agreed. Things just come up. Just get, if you want to get it done quick, and then first, and then do everything else.
100%. It generally makes you feel better. I mean, if you get up, you feel a bit sluggish getting up, but then once you get your training done, and especially if sometimes for me it was like before breakfast, and then you're like, I've got a massive appetite, so you can eat a good breakfast, and then you just feel good about your day. You've ticked off training straight away. So whereas if you don't do it, you're like constantly thinking, I got to train. When are we getting home?
I think it's very underrated how good it makes you feel when you train first thing in the day, because you just like exactly that. You don't need to think about when am I going to train and fit it in. You can do everything else stress free, and then know that you're going to wake up tomorrow before anything starts and do your next session. It's a very powerful feeling.
It's a nice routine to get into, I think, too. And then, obviously, you do know when you're going to have a night out where you're going to go and have dinner and do whatever, and you can just say, okay, the next day I'm not training. I know that, but I can fit my training around those sort of activities and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, exactly. Or like you'll save the next day for like something light, stretchy, and the day before that you'll do like your heavier stuff. Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of heavy stuff, I'm about to get ready to do some handstand push-up day today. So
yeah, I think I'm gonna quickly do some legs before my next call.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Oh well, it's been good to chat, man. Nice to connect. Glad to hear things are going well for you over there on the East Coast.
Yeah, and you stretch. Yeah, always good to connect, and I'll keep you posted on when I get a house and make sure I have a room for you when you come visit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, shout out to Nick. That Nick was the one who asked the question about training. Hopefully, we've answered that question, and the rest of our listeners have found something useful there. If people want to find out more about you, Erdi, and what you do, whereabouts can they find you?
Instagram.com/learningtohuman.
Learning to human. There we go. Yeah. Any retreats, any workshops, anything coming up in Australia, mate?
This year, nothing yet. Yeah. Like I'm gonna see. I've got a little contact in Sydney. I might see if I've got much of an audience there because I have a good opportunity to teach something there. Someone's offering me their studio for free, which is really handy. Awesome. But I don't actually know if anyone follows me from Sydney. So
if you follow Erdi from Sydney, jump on to Learning to Human and let him know that you want him to come and do flexibility handstand workshop.
Yeah, exactly. But I might need to put out some feelers there. But
yeah.
And how about yourself?
100%, mate. Yeah, just ticking over at the moment. I've got a couple of things going on. Obviously, still the online coaching, working with a lot of clients globally with gymnastics and flexibility stuff. At the same time, I'm also launching Vitality Beyond 40. So looking at more sort of a health coaching program there. Starting a new podcast. I recorded the first episode the other day, but going to get a few under my belt before I get that out there, but that'll be coming in the wind. So that's big things that I'm sort of focusing on right now. So we'll just sort of tick along and see how that goes. But if you want to find me, I'm tstmethod.com is the website, the Sustainable Training Method, or I'm at I think you're going to find me at stretch.rainer on Instagram. I had to change it recently because I'm going for a little blue tick for something different, but you have to actually have your real name there, which is my real name's Andrew,
really?
for people who don't know. So
okay.
I think my handle's still stretch.rainer, but the name on the account had to be Andrew Rainer. So you'll find me there on Instagram, or at TST Method is the other one. Cool.
Vitality Beyond 40.
Yeah, that's the idea, my friend.
And it should be like shoulder press beyond 40, L-sit press beyond 40, back roll on the rings beyond 40.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Are they all the chapters, right?
No, unfortunately not, mate. I'm going to look at it more in terms of like the health coaching side is going to be more around a big part of it's nutrition, but stress management, sleep, all those sort of key factors. I'm a big believer of, and maybe we could talk about this one time because I know you've gone through a gut healing protocol yourself, but the gut is the foundation of our health. And I think a lot of people in our modern society have a lot of underlying gut and digestive issues. So I think one of the first things I'm going to start to work on is like a gut healing protocol to help people just get their gut health back on track, which will make a difference to sleep, energy levels, recovery ability, performance, just mental clarity. So many different things can come out of that. That's probably where I'm going to start with the Vitality Beyond 40 program. Yeah,
that sounds good to me. I like it. It gives me hope for my 40s.
Yeah, that's it, mate. You young bucks, I don't know.
Nice. Awesome.
All right. Thanks, mate. All right, on that note, let's finish up and we'll keep in touch, mate, and hopefully organise another podcast soon.